Hey everyone, what's up? Justin here. It is Wednesday, the days after Ironman Chattanooga, which was Sunday, September 30th. So this is going to be a little bit of an overview video about that race, bit of a race report, as well as just the general tips and tricks that I think I picked up this weekend that hopefully if you're doing Ironman Chattanooga or another first-time Ironman, you can follow along with. So fun fact, actually, I'm currently in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is actually my hometown. And right here in front of me, this is actually the area where Ironman Coeur d'Alene, the half and the full, used to be. So the full is no longer here, but the half still is. That right there is City Park. That right there is the beach where all the athletes go. And you essentially swim all the way out here, do a turn, and then go back to the beach. And for the full, you did it 2 laps, and now for the half, you just do it 1. So either way though, back to actual Chattanooga. This is obviously the finisher's hat, which I am wearing constantly, and I still have my bands on, which I'm probably going to keep on for longer than is appropriate. But the actual race itself, so because there wasn't a swim, it was essentially the 116-mile bike and the 26 run. I will say, mentally, not having the swim was really interesting. I think everyone knew that it was always going to be a very, very fast swim. I don't think anyone thought that the swim was ever going to be a differentiating factor in the race. I was looking at 40 minutes to 60 minutes, which is way, way faster than I'm actually capable of. Here's the thing though, there was a really weird mental aspect going on where once that swim got canceled, there was a small part of me that thought to myself, okay, well, now I just have to do the bike and the run. But that's a really dangerous mental place to be in, because to be honest, the bike and the run were always obviously the hard part. No one ever thought the swim was going to be difficult. I don't think anyone has ever failed that swim. So it was a weird mental place, and you kind of had to mentally adjust. So your training and staying mentally strong was really important there. Quick word about my training. I used a free general training plan, which I've got in the link below. So if you want to see the work I've done, you can take a look at that. You can also check out my Strava down below for the specific work that I've done. The thing is though, in terms of, did I ever feel ready? That's an interesting question, because I don't think you're ever going to feel ready for your first Ironman. It's a long day. It's a long ride, and it's a long run, and it's a long swim. And logically, you know you've done the things in training to get you ready for them, but until you've actually done a full Ironman, I don't think you're ever going to feel ready. I didn't personally feel extremely ready. The longest ride that I did in training was a century, and I've done centuries in the past, and the longest brick weekend that I did was a 100-mile run, or it was a 100-mile bike, and then an 18-mile run at about 10-minute pace, and that went fine. So on to race day, we essentially started in a time trial start, so everybody hung out in transition by their bikes, by the order that your bib number was. So I was in the 1300s, so I didn't start for about 30-40 minutes. Once I got on the bike, it's a kind of an elongated lollipop course. So you have a 12-mile stick, 2 about 45-mile loops, and then back down the stick. So the stick right here, the 12 miles that you go south out of town, really crappy roads, and a net ascent, and then the first part of the loop is a net ascent, and then you come back north, which is a descent, come back south, which is an ascent, come back north, which is a descent, and then a descent back into town. So the thing is, the first 12 miles and then the next 12 to 15 miles on the loop, very, very hilly and mentally really challenging. I suggest driving that course ahead of time, or knowing that those hills are going to get better. I think if you get yourself really mentally discouraged in the first, hour, 2 hours of racing, you're going to be in a bad mental place for the rest of the day. But the thing is, the race does improve. It's not hilly the entire way. Unfortunately for me, I'm pretty sure someone stole my heart rate strap out of transition. So I know for a fact that I had it in my morning bag. I think I set it by my bike. I dropped my morning bag off in transition, went back to my bike, couldn't find my heart rate strap, figured I left it in my morning bag, went back to my morning clothes bag, it wasn't in there, and it was gone. So I did not have any heart rate the entire day, which, given that I don't use power and I only use heart rate to gauge my effort, that was a possible struggle for me. So the entire race, I had to work really, really hard to stay in my comfort zone, not over bike, and really keep the effort super, super low. So those first 20, 30 miles are just a lot of rolling hills, and they don't really have any reward. You climb the hill and it flattens, and you climb another hill and it flattens, and you climb another hill and it flattens. I will say I saw a lot of good racing. I saw very little drafting, very few drafting packs, very few unsafe passes. I saw one guy who was a total jerk, basically yelled at a lady as he was passing her on the right because she moved to the right without looking, which there was no reason for her to look right. So that guy was a jerk. If you know who you are, you suck. Everyone else did a freaking kick-ass job on the bike. I saw a ton of really powerful cyclists, a lot of great riding, very, very little drafting. I saw some great officiating by the refs. I did see a draft pack, and I swear just 5 minutes later I crested a hill and there was a hidden motorcycle and it buzzed up, and I'm pretty sure they either got carded or at the very least talked to. So the refs were doing a really good job. Overall, the bike, there isn't a lot to report. You know, your Ironman bike should be a long, easy training day, and that's how I kept it. My nutrition was overall pretty good. I used Tailwind. I used 350 calories an hour for the first half of the bike up to special needs of non-caffeinated Tailwind, and then at special needs I switched to caffeinated Tailwind. Thing is though, at one point I did, sorry about the camera, I'm just on my cell phone. Thing is though, at one point I did get behind on my nutrition. I realized I was about 30-45 minutes behind where I should have been, so I wasn't taking in enough calories. I honestly just got distracted on the bike and wasn't taking in the calories. My stomach was fine, but I just forgot to do it. That came to really kick me in the ass at about mile 85 to 95. I hit the point where I was starting to prepare mentally for the run, and I got thinking, and I couldn't remember if I put my Body Glide in my transition bag. And then I got thinking, I couldn't remember actually packing my transition bag at all. And then I got thinking that I think I forgot my entire run gear bag, and I was going to roll into transition. I wasn't going to have any clothes to actually run the marathon in, which is insane. And logically, like when I say that to you now, it's like, well, how could I have possibly forgotten that? And the answer is, I was really, really, really deep into a nutritional hole and I wasn't thinking straight. And honestly, I actually got nearly to the point of tears because mentally I was so out of it. I was still biking well. I remember looking down at my speed and I was still, hitting mid to upper 20s on the like -1.5 or -0.5% grades, over 30 on the descents. So I was still biking well, but mentally I was way out of it. I was totally biking on autopilot. I was getting tunnel vision. I was super emotional and I thought my race was over, and it was really weird. After 5, 10, 15 minutes of that, I realized that what was happening was a nutritional issue. So I basically said, to hell with my nutrition plan, to hell with my hourly calorie limits. I'm going to suck down as much nutrition as I can possibly get in my body. And as soon as I did that, 5 minutes later, I was feeling worlds better. Tunnel vision cleared right up. Mentally, I was a lot more sharp. To be honest, I still couldn't remember actually packing my run bag, but I figured that at this point, it was basically just one of those race day weird things. Obviously, I had done it, so I didn't need to stress about it, and I'm sure that it was there. So with that, I basically finished my bike and got to transition. Last thing on the bike, I will say overall, like I said, great riding overall. Didn't see anything bad happen. I only saw one minor crash in an aid station where I think a guy grabbed his brake too hard and didn't, just like the steering just kind of shunted left, and I think he was fine. I didn't see him seriously hurt. So overall, my ride was pretty uneventful, which is exactly what I wanted. Getting on to the run, I did a full clothing change. I don't consider myself fast enough to need to race in a one-piece tri-suit for a full Ironman, so I'm glad that I took the advice from people who said to do a full change. Got on to the run, and I gotta say, it was just tiring from step number one. I did the Blue Ridge Marathon last April, which is about 3,700 feet of gain, and I did that sort of to kick my own ass to get ready for how this marathon would feel. That was the plan. The reality is, even in Blue Ridge Marathon, I never felt really tired until about mile 17. I walked a lot of hills before mile 17, but I never had that feeling of like, oh God, like I'm broken, this is hard. But getting off the bike after 116 miles is just tiring, and I was tired from step number one. So in training, I did an 18 miler at 10-minute pace the day after doing a 100 miler at race pace, And I gotta say, I could not do that today, or I could not do that during the race. I don't know if it was a nutritional thing, which I'm guessing it probably was. I may have overbiked a little bit because I didn't have my heart rate monitor. But what it came down to is I was pulling 10, 11-minute miles with basically like 10 minutes of running, a minute of walking through the aid stations, and that's really all I could do, and I was perfectly content with that. The run was hard. This part here is going to be a lot shorter because I just don't have that much to say about it. I never really bonked on the run. My nutrition was probably better on the run than the bike because I was intaking as much as I could at all of the aid stations. Absolutely take the chicken broth by the time they get it out to you. That will change your world. But honestly, there isn't much to say on the run. It was a slow slog from start to finish. I didn't start strong, hit a wall, and then break. I just did 10, 11, and 12-minute miles throughout the whole race, depending on the elevation profile of that mile. And ultimately, I got through it in 5 hours, 23 minutes for the run, and I think 6:30 for the bike. My total time with transition, so bike, T2, I guess we're technically going to call it, and then run, my total time was 12 hours, 17 minutes, which I'm pretty happy with. Had I had the swim, we probably would have been looking at about 13, 15 or so. And for a first Ironman, I'm going to say that I'm content with that, and I'm not going to stress about it. Nice little shot of Coeur d'Alene Lake behind me there. I will say, it's a shame that Ironman Coeur d'Alene is gone because that was a damn beautiful race. So, overall, how do I feel about the race? Pretty good. I am super excited to come back next year and kick its own ass. The big thing that I want to say that I know that I need to improve on, by the way, sorry about all these shadows, I know it's not ideal. The big thing that I really want to improve on is I want to get an electric smart trainer for winter, and I want to put down a lot more power on the bike. I'm only about 150 pounds, so my power to weight ratio is probably decent-ish for climbing, but I'm so light and I don't have enough objective raw power to really hammer on the flats. And I was getting walked by some guys who had probably 20, 30 pounds on me, but they were putting so much more power down on the flats where power is much more important than power to weight. And that was really getting them some big gains on the flat sections of the bike. So I'd love to improve that. And then I need to improve my run off the bike. I'm not a crazy fast runner. I'm definitely not like Boston qualifying area, but I'd like to be able to run, 8:30s to 9:15s off of an Ironman bike, and I definitely was not able to do that this race, so I would like to do that for next year. Those are the two big goals. Overall, though, I would say I'm decently happy with how my first Ironman went. The plan was essentially to race easy, not get into an extremely deep nutritional hole, and complete the race. I raced easy, and I completed the race, and I identified when I was a hole, and when I figured out what was going on, I knew what to do to get out of it. So that was awesome. Also want to give a huge shout out to everyone that I got to interact with. There were actually a few of you who said hello to me, so you know who you are. That was super cool for me, to get to see those of you who have watched my videos and see you guys race and chat with you. I was only there with my fiance. I didn't have a ton of friends and family there. It was really nice to actually get to talk to people and sort of share that experience. There were a few people from, the Crushing Iron podcast. Mike, you all kick ass. It was super fun meeting you guys. And then the friends from the Facebook Chattanooga group that I got to meet, you guys were all awesome as well. If you are doing a race that you are not a local to, I would super encourage you to reach out and find like a Facebook group or an Instagram group or whatever, Strava group. Get involved with those people, because having that insider information is just going to make your race so much more enjoyable, social, and really a fun experience. It's 3-4 days that you're there. You don't want to be cooped up in your hotel all weekend, and getting to meet and interact with all of those people, I think, made the whole experience a lot better. So, all that said, what's next? I'm getting married this weekend, so that's cool. The week after that, I have a super easy half marathon that I'm doing up in Roanoke, just because I want to do the Triple Crown, because I did Blue Ridge Marathon back in April. In about a month, I've got something really cool coming. So I am racing the Marine Corps Marathon with the Ability Experience and the Kyle Peace Foundation. So in October 28th, I believe, I will actually be getting to push an enabled wheelchair athlete in Marine Corps marathon. So you guys are going to get to see that as well. I'm super, super excited to get to do that and share that experience. And I think it's so cool to be able to help someone else achieve their dreams in a little bit of a way is going to be really cool. So I'm super excited to help push a wheelchair athlete to the finish at Marine Corps Marathon. Would like to go about 4:20, 4:30 in that race, but ultimately it's going to be all about pushing that athlete, getting them to the finish. That's going to be their race, not mine. And I'm really, really excited for that. So if you're not subscribed, stay tuned, because I think that you're super going to enjoy that. Apart from that, definitely going to stick back with Ironman. This is not going to be my only Ironman. It's not a one and done. So probably want to come back to Chattanooga and do the full race. Might switch races. I don't know. We'll figure it out next year. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Instagram is JustinDoesTriathlon. You guys know to subscribe. I love you all. Thanks for all the support that I've gotten, comments, tips, and everything. It was really cool just getting to interact and chat with you guys and share my race experience. And if you raced at Chat or another race this weekend, Maryland, I think, was this last weekend, let me know. Hope you all kicked your own races' asses, and I'll see you on the next one.